Welcome to episode 68 of Winging It. Just fucking going Wembley, mate.
I got nothing to say, mate. Nothing to say. Just fucking going Wembley, mate.
Can't believe it. After
Stunned
having to
into
put up
silence.
a couple of weeks of Hesketh telling us it was going to be 2-0 Fulham. It seeped into my every being. But before we got into all of that, we're back after a 2-week hiatus. We did tease...
unpaid hiatus, I'd just like to point out. Just in case anyone's thinking we're living on Easy Street and just taking the money.
all of that sweet money. No, we had we did tease at the end of the last episode. We did that there might be a special episode for the international break. But I fell out of love with the idea after 2 years of saying how we was going to interview Kevin Miller. I decided to make it happen, and then he pops up on the Palace YouTube channel, and I fell out of love with the idea. So.
Read that book. I read that book.
I was going to say, we spent all that time reading that book.
And when I say reading the book, what I mean was spent all that time trying to find that book for nothing.
So the rebuilding of Kevin Miller's character at Crystal Palace will have to go on the back burner and wait for another day. And then we were going to do one, but I got very sick. Albert ended up in A&E. And Hesketh was just sat there on his own, twiddling his thumbs, waiting for us.
I didn't think anyone wanted an hour
Sure, it was his thumb.
Hey, that's why you're an A&E. I don't think people wanted an hour of me just doing a solo nasal complaint about everything and anything to do with Palace.
Mate, I was in A&E for so long that I'd have been all right with that. I'd have taken 2 hours.
That's because you were on copious amounts of drugs.
Yeah, that's true.
And how is the old knee?
The good news is I will be around. I was going to say I will be around for episode 69. And then I just remembered that I'm not available for episode 69. I will be. I'm going to live. It's fine.
Yeah, enjoy it, Albert, while we've got him, because he's disappearing for the next 2 episodes. So
unpaid again. It's unpaid.
Will you be in the UK?
No, I won't be in the UK.
Sounds like a holiday to me.
I'll send you a picture when I'm there, and you will retract that comment. Well, I mean, you won't because you can't, but you will feel mildly bad about that comment.
Right. Okay. Albert, you need to promise. You need to promise to contain yourself here.
Oh no.
We've had a contact.
Oh, no.
About something that's happening at this Brighton game on the weekend. So just contain yourself, okay?
If it's free tasty jerk,
it's not free tasty jerk.
Oh, shit.
Okay, fine.
So dotted around Selhurst Park against Brighton on Saturday, you will see people collecting money. It's a fundraiser for the first Crystal Palace scout group.
How does that work?
On the day,
go on, come on,
they'll have buckets, card readers, and small posters on the buckets with a QR code to the crowdfunding page. You'll be able to pay cash. You'll also be able to pay with card if you need. The scouts will be wearing uniform and troop scarves. The group will be at the ground from 12:30. And they will be around the ground in the 3 areas marked and 3 corners and the fan zone they'll be in. And they've been invited to go on stage at the fan zone to speak. And their scout leader Andy will be doing that.
I was going to say, you sure it's not for the new? You not got misread it. It's not for the new scouting network since Freedman's back.
No. So well done. You did well.
Well, if they need any tips, then they know where to reach me. Don't be alone with no.
That was put forward to us by a long-time listener, so he's fully aware of your feeling towards scout groups.
Not all of them, just my one. I mean, I'm not going to tie them all with the same brush. That wouldn't be fair. I didn't realise and it's affiliated to Crystal Palace Football Club. It's not Thornton Heath second.
I don't know.
You don't know. That's fine.
I didn't ask any follow-up questions. It's just the first Crystal Palace scout group is all I know.
Interesting.
What was your battalion called, Albert?
Oh, fuck. What was it called? It was called something like Second Norberton. Something like I can't remember. It was all very hazy. I think there was something in the fizzy pop.
Something centre parting, I think. Yes. We've had a second contact as well.
Oh my God.
No, this one is just quite straightforward. So on Sunday the 6th of April, Tom will be running the Brighton Marathon in a Palace top. And he says, I've been listening to the podcast all throughout my training. Any chance of a shout out on your next episode as I'll be listening while running the marathon. So you're not going fast enough, Tom. You're off your personal best here. You got to speed it up a bit and pick those knees up.
Hurry up.
Quick Hesketh, do that solo hour that you were talking about.
He'll collapse and fall asleep in the middle of the track.
Phil.
He's also said if we beat Brighton on Saturday, he'll go full kit wanker for the marathon in Brighton as well. So hopefully that'll be the case. Hope it's going well, Tom. Good work. He said not looking for any sponsorship money. If you do want to help support him, just give it to the Palace for Life Foundation. So
nice.
And on
the scout group.
On the scout. Yeah, palm it off to Jeff on the way to the ground on the weekend. Right.
Yeah,
I'm really shit at these segues into more somber moments. Also, there'll be an applause in the 24th minute against Brighton for the sad passing of Faizan, who passed away a few weeks back at the age of just 24. Big Palace fan, very, very sad at such a young age. So yeah, looking to get a bit of an applause going in the 24th minute. So look out for that against Brighton. The HF, as they always do when we go to Wembley, are raising money for a display. And there's been attention drawn to it heavily because everyone's questioning whether a Palace player has actually donated £500 to it or not. It's Dean Henderson, but Dean Henderson is misspelt. Now, to be fair, trying to type on touch screens with goalkeeper gloves on is probably quite hard. Yeah. But there's no R in Henderson.
Oh, I was going to say, was he misspelt? When you said Dean Henderson has misspelt, the name is spelt wrong. I'm with you.
Your voice ain't no.
Yeah. Not for long.
But as I said, Hesketh, was I the only one? Because it's missing the R. I just kept saying it with a Jamaican accent in my head.
I'm going to say yes, you were the only one. Because
How
we're
would
recording.
that sound?
Henderson. Dean Henderson. Yeah. Henderson.
It's a bit more Scandinavian when you do it.
That's just because of the way I look. If you couldn't see me, you would have thought you were in Kingston, South London.
I was there on Saturday night, actually. And no one spoke like that.
Since Dean Henderson has donated, Chris Richards has also donated £500. It's spelt correctly. Assuming there are no other affluent Chris Richards who support Palace and want to donate, then it looks like he donated £2.
Fair play to him as well, because if you put that in dollars, it's a bit more as well.
I'm just having a look now to see how much has been raised already. Fucking hell. 10 grand.
They're looking for 12, right?
They are. So they're at 83% at the moment. I'm sure they'll bump it up once they reach that goal. But that is pretty good going it's only been up sort of 3 or 4 days, I think. So, well, of course it fucking has, because we only played on Saturday.
I'll tell you what, you do a lot of damage in hobby graft with 12 grand.
What's the that Flying Tiger? What's the one in
Flying Tiger,
Flying Tiger, yeah.
You could buy the whole shop for that.
Do you know what I do like about Flying Tiger recently is they've got rid of that one-way route that you had to follow around.
Oh, not in my local branch.
No, in the one in Croydon, in the Whitgift, yeah.
I'm not sure it's the best place to organise a display for Wembley, though, unless you want people waving around neon hair scrunchies and a back scratcher that's in the shape of a hand.
Yeah, rainbow napkins and wearing like a pink unicorn hat.
Buying rainbow unicorns in bulk, but throwing everything away apart from the red and the blue ones. It's not very efficient.
No.
Yeah. So if you haven't already donated to that, get over there, help them to get to the £12,000. And I do believe Villa fans have also got one going on as well. So I think it's probably going to be a pretty special day at Wembley that day. 2 good sets of fans, full voice.
Thankfully, not a Chelsea fan in sight.
Yes.
Makes it better than the last time.
2-0 Villa, is that your thoughts, Hesketh?
Yeah, Rashford with both. You heard it here first.
We'll get a little bit more into Villa later. Last time we was on here, we were speaking that Glasner was a flight risk with Leipzig. Believe they're still sniffing around. There's some rumours knocking around today that he's already agreed to go there in the summer. We'll see if that's true or not. Feels like it's not true.
Fucking better not be.
Especially if we win the FA Cup and get Champions League football.
What happens if we go out the semi-finals 2-0 to Villa with Rashford scoring both? That's the worry now, isn't it?
Well, then we can focus on getting fourth.
Fine.
I love it today in his pre-match. Glasner, he's said, someone asked him, what's your target finish for the season? And he's like, well, there's 10 games to go, so my target is 30 points.
Duh.
But it's just so compared to managers we've had prior to him who have been on a far more pragmatic stance and...
Who?
No, all of them, really.
Who?
None of them were going into we'll win the next 10 matches.
Name one. See, you can't.
Sam Allardyce. Sam Allardyce would sit there and talk about we'll get beat by certain teams.
Sam Allardyce. Well, you'd have beaten him if he was called Sam Allardyce.
Yes, of course.
To be fair, Sam Hesketh talks about us losing to a lot of teams as well, so I can't be too harsh enough.
But almost out of the blue, when we're talking about Glasner, Dougie Freedman decides to leave Crystal Palace Football Club yet again. Is that 4 times now? He's left us twice as a player, once as a manager, once as a sporting director. We're up to 4. Now, reports have suggested that they're 5x'd his money, which is quite the increase, really. So you can probably understand it from that sense. But third tier of Saudi Arabian football.
Sorry, third tier.
They might have been promoted to the heady heights of second.
I didn't know there was more than one tier. I thought it was just in football. It was Saudi football or no football. Didn't realise there was layers to it.
Now, obviously, loads probably has been said already and some time's passed now, so I don't think we really need to dwell on it other than gutted Sam or, opportunity to move on and bigger, better things.
I'm disappointed. I was really upset when it first happened because I think he's been brilliant since he came back from the previous buggering off. Just to look at, we talk about it a lot, but looking at the players that he's brought in for the money that he's brought them in for, this side that we all love this season is, prime examples of that. And his sort of personal touch that seems to be the catalyst for a lot of players picking us. Wharton was obviously a big example of that, where I think Dougie went to his professional debut and sort of talked him all the way along to joining Palace. So I think it's a real shame that he's going. I mean, obviously it's a lot of money and it's easy for me to sit here and say, I wouldn't do it because of where he's going. But it is what it is. The hope, like you say, is that we can sort of build on what we've got already, because when he came in, we didn't really have anything like it. So at least we've got a good basis to work off. And by all accounts, he's given names to Glasner and the board for the summer. So, yeah, I mean, obviously we don't really have a choice to move on, but I think he's left us in a much better place and we should really try and capitalise on that if we can.
Obviously, Hesketh mentioned all the positives there, Al, but I'm sure you're more along the lines of Yaroslav Yak, Luke Plange, Alexander Sorloth.
Don't come back. Yeah.
Erdal Rackett.
There he is.
Well, look, it's no manager, no one at any sort of technical level at a football club has 100% success record in results or signings. Dougie's definitely done more good than he's done bad. Ultimately, we'll be fine. I'm not that upset about it. He's done worse. It's an odd, yes, take the money out of it. I did. All I knew was Saudi, and genuinely had no idea he was going to not even a whatever they call the Premier League in Saudi Arabia club. So yeah, it just seems a bit of a weird one for him, considering he's been attached to fucking Newcastle and United for the last, we've been sort of staving off those rumours for the past 2 years, 18 months. So trying to turn it into a positive, in a way, at least you can say, well, he ain't going up the road, or we're not going to be having our clubs, our players poached by bigger clubs because Dougie's gone to insert another Premier League club here. So it's a weird one. Like I say, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And it's it's if the numbers stack up, then that's a good enough reason for Dougie. So it's a good enough reason for me. Good luck to him.
Now, the team he's gone to, Hesketh, how are you saying his name? Because I would suggest this is how diarrhea should be spelt in the English language.
I don't even know what it's called. I'm going to have to Google it whilst we...
Well, I'll give you... You don't need to guess the first two letters.
Is it Al?
Very good. And then it's Diriyah.
Diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
Listen, I'm not starting a global war based on the pronunciation of this team.
Well, within 10 minutes of publishing this, I'm going to have a PIF agent at my door and just knocking it down.
You're going to be fending him off with your Percy pig bag in the background.
I'll just flash Dougie.
I love that.
I'll just give Dougie a quick call on the phone and be like, Dougie, call your hounds off.
Called them off.
Leave me alone. But yeah, I think he's done wonders for us, but I'm not going to say to him good luck and all that, because morals and thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, indeed. Right, let's talk about Fulham now. We should just. This is where Hesketh can do his solo part, Albert, because we're shit fans and weren't there. FA Cup quarter final, and apparently we had better things to do.
Well, someone needed to look after my children.
Well, I can give you the contact for the first Crystal Palace scout group if you like.
I'll probably keep an eye on them myself. Thanks.
But Hesketh, another stunning day in southwest London weather-wise. We were talking pre-show about how it seems like every time we go there, the weather is just beautiful.
Yeah, I think the only time
all the houses cost $4 million there.
Well, exactly. I think that the only time I've been to Fulham away, which was the first time I went in the late 90s, it was pissing with rain and it was a uncovered terrace in the way end. Since then, it's been lovely every time I've been. And it was no different on Saturday. Made all the more enjoyable, obviously, by winning. The walk back was lovely. But yeah, it was good. The atmosphere was brilliant. Early kickoffs, and I'm not a massive fan of them normally, but the atmosphere there was really good from way before kickoff. And I think it was sort of heightened in the Palace end by Fulham waving their club donated flags and then putting across a banner that said something like London's oldest football club. And when the teams came out, the guy who does the lineups announced that they were the real oldest football club in London. Like anyone gives a shit.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. Who gives a fuck?
I mean, if they want to win that and then we win the quarterfinal, that's fine by me. But yeah, it was a really good atmosphere, like I said, and for all of the searches and not allowed bags and blah blah blah, smoke bombs went off before kickoff even came about, so it was great.
Yes, but Albert, it was a pretty stressful first 20 minutes though. Fulham came out of the traps really fast and we did well to weather the storm. Yeah,
it was intense. I mean, this season I haven't been to a huge amount of games, but I don't really feel. I can't say I feel nerves if I'm sat at home watching a Premier League game. Obviously, I want us to win, but I don't have any sort of tingle of nerves, let alone a crippling case of nerves. But yeah, I was very sort of anxious about this one because at the time you see the teams that are left in and the potential path to a final. I won't say a victory. It's like this is a great chance, and knowing that we'd beaten Fulham. Up until then, what was our best performance of the season before then turning Villa over. It was I was a little bit, a combination between excited and jittery and nervous. But that first 20 minutes didn't do anything to sort of help that. They were very, really physical, really intense. We sort of, I think you could sort of look at it and think we didn't really know what we were doing. But I think that was more about just the intensity of Fulham rather than us playing the wrong players or the wrong shape or Glasner getting any sense of Glasner getting it wrong. But the more that spell went on and it got to sort of 15 minutes and it got to 20 minutes and, I think they had one clear-cut chance fairly early on. I can't remember the name of the player, but he sort of jinked into the area on the right-hand side and just sort of wrapped it wrong side of the post. Now, apart from that, it was pressure without any real, direct threat at the goal. And I think that's what's great about us at the moment and Glasner. It used to be us. When nothing comes of that 20 minutes of pressure, when we're on the end of it, you now think, right, okay, well, we've got a coach and a team that's able to sort of adapt and react, and they've kind of shown their hand and they've huffed and puffed and not got anything out of it. It's now where we then start to gradually grow in confidence and push forward a bit more. So when it got to that 20-minute mark and they hadn't breached the gates, it was like, right, we can now, we should now be getting our heads together and we should now be trying to impose ourselves on them. And that's what started to happen.
I think it's Muñoz. Is it Muñoz? Yeah. He was the main difference between what happened when we beat them 2-0 and in that game in the first 20 minutes, that he really threw himself around a bit and just was way more of a presence than Jimenez was in the first game. But I mean, when he got into the penalty area, I think he probably fouls Gay. I think he shoulder barges Gay in the back, but referee
not sure about that. But
you can maybe say it was the side of the shoulder. Maybe, I don't know. For me, it looks a bit in the backy. But anyway, his finish was poor, and I think Henderson probably had it covered anyway. And then you had the chance when Bassi somehow got to the byline after Lerma seemed to just run past him, which, to be fair to Lerma, was his only bad bit of play in the game. I thought Lerma was excellent in that match.
He was.
And they he cuts it back and Pereira drags his shot wide. But you're right, other than that, it was no real direct threat on the goal. And then I just think Lacroix just got to grips with Muñoz and just started to bully him a bit. And that happened, that's a bit of play that happens in the first goal when Muñoz, in that point, is just stropping because he feels like he's not getting anything from the ref, but it's just because Lacroix is just all over him in a very fair sense. But before that, Lerma hits the crossbar. Hesketh, I mean, it's a fantastic hit. It looked like time stood still on the TV because it was like in the air it seemed like forever. But it just comes down on the bar.
Yeah, it was up the other end from where we were, and when he hit it, it was one of those where it looked like it was going over into the Thames. But when you obviously see the replay on it, the amount of spin that's on it is brilliant, and that was really the sort of wake up call for us because, like you say, the beginning was we just couldn't get out the gates really, and as soon as that shot hit the bar, it was like it flicked a switch, and we were like, oh, we're actually quite capable of getting a shot on goal and doing something here. And I think that the first goal, like you say, Muñoz started off strong with that shot and then just proceeded to be a little toddler throwing a tantrum every 2 seconds. Got put on the floor like with a fair challenge, as you say, and then a lovely sort of floated ball from Lacroix. Take note, Joachim Anderson. Nice touch from Ty, and I mean, what can you say about the finish? Ebbs, obviously quite high on his goal for England, I would imagine. Took one touch, another touch, and then just pinged it as far into the corner as you can go. Just a brilliant goal. It was the sort of goal that we know Ebbs can score, but hasn't really done it enough this season. Something that Glasner has talked about as well. He said he's had a weird season because he hasn't got that many goals, and he's had some chances that he probably should have put away and hasn't. But in moments like that, when you really want something to help turn the game, I mean, sensational goal, and gave it a little bit of a shush to the Fulham fans as well, which was quite funny.
It's great that, because you see on the TV is one particular Fulham fan is giving him all the wanker signs under the sun and all of that. And so to see him just like casually shush him, and
it's quite ironic shushing the Fulham fans.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, but obviously just before that, we had the whole Adam Wharton situation where he'd obviously been booked, and rightly so, for a challenge early on. And as much as we all hate Darren England and so on, I thought he then, for us, handled the second challenge quite well. And it was, like you say, the toddler Muñoz throwing himself around probably didn't do himself any favours in trying to make the most of it. But Albert, it's a kick out from Wharton, and in most cases up and down the country, that's a yellow card in this day and age.
Yeah, it's definitely a kick out. I don't know if, again, not to give Darren England too much credit because I don't think he deserves it, but it's this weird VAR anomaly in that they can only look at it if they suspect it's a straight red. So I think Wharton's quite lucky there that VAR actually can't recommend look at it again or this, that, or the other. And it's it's maybe Darren England's ineptitude that means he's actually missed it, or for whatever reason not given it. So I think Wharton was very lucky. It's really, really silly. But again, who cares? I'm not that fussed. I'd rather talk about Wharton's pirouette and check back and that side of it, because that was well worth a replay.
I will give Darren England credit because I think he was looking at it. I think he saw what it was, didn't want to send someone off in such a big game, and didn't like that Munoz got 4 steps away before he threw himself to the ground. Because from the camera angle that you see, it does look like he's looking at it, I think. But I'd more, on top of his pirouette and lovely little drag back, that sliding tackle he made by the sideline when he was on the yellow.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a perfectly timed tackle and it was brilliant, but my heart was in my mouth. That was for sure. But Hesketh, we shouldn't be surprised, but Joachim Andersen was in there trying to get him sent off.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Wharton actually seemed really pissed off that he did it as well afterwards. He was sort of turned around and pointing at him, sort of giving him some shit back.
I thought he stood up to him really well. He showed a lot of balls for someone of his age, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's the sort of thing we're used to seeing Andersen doing. So, it didn't surprise me. I mean, at the time, obviously I couldn't see the kick out in real time. I just saw Munoz on the floor and everyone was like, oh, he's fucking doing it again, trying to get him sent off. And then the text came through, oh, he has actually kicked out at him. I was like, oh, shit, all right, well, fair enough. But yeah, Wharton stood up to Andersen pretty well, and I don't think it was his best game ever, to be fair. But like Albert said, seeing the little pirouette and the drag back, we won't talk about the pass that went straight to a Fulham player afterwards, but the pirouette and the drag back was nice.
One of several.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the post-match where Marco Silva, for the second game running against us, said, I don't like to blame referees because it's out of our control, but it's like,
having said that,
for the second time in a few weeks, it's the referee's fault. And he probably
he's a miserable fucker, that bloke.
He is. Yeah.
I don't know if you clocked it watching it on TV, but I think Marco Silva spent more time with his back to the pitch, whinging at his bench and talking to the fourth official than he did actually fucking watching the game.
Well, maybe because you weren't there and he was trying to catch up with his Watford buddy from back in the day. Never miss an opportunity. And then he was moaning again for the second goal when Eze's picking the ball up on the side. I mean, I was straight away thinking about Lerma's disallowed goal against Aston Villa. It was like, if they can't overrule that on-field decision, if this hasn't been given on-field, then there's no way they're going to be able to pull a camera angle out that shows that definitely went out of play. And I don't think it did. It didn't look like it did on the TV, that's for sure.
Didn't even cross my mind to think that might have gone out of play.
I have to say, at the time, I thought it had gone out of play.
Well, you would.
But then, yeah, you know me. So I was a bit worried that they were going to call it back. But then, not so miserable anymore, Dave, friend of the pod, was just like, there's no way on the sideline they'll be able to definitively say the whole of the ball was over all of the line. Just fucking celebrate. Just have it. So I did.
Yeah. The irony would be, probably if there was a camera angle, Silva was probably blocking it by standing too close to the play. So
that would be great.
yeah, but yeah, brilliant run then down the left from Ebbs and great movement in the middle. Just love how many players get in the box. You got Munoz and Mateta at the back post, waiting for it. Sarr goes across the near post and Ebbs picks him out with a lovely ball. I mean, that Calvin Bassey, Fulham fans seem to really rate him, but every time I've seen him, he just looks dross and doesn't follow him in. Anderson's nowhere to be seen, and Sarr's just flicking the header in for 2-0, and we're firmly in control. And then when you start to look at, 5 previous games to that away from home, no goals conceded, 2-0 lead is looking. And I was watching it with friend of the pod, Sergio, and it's like, that's that done and dusted. And he was like, there's still far too long to go to say that. And I was just like, no. We don't concede goals away from home. This is over. You would have loved it if I was there, Hesketh.
You would have gone down about 5 rows if you'd have said that to me, I think.
Yeah. But obviously get through to half-time. On the TV, they're just waxing lyrical about Ebbs and, obviously talking about his England goal in midweek and then how that's going to give him the confidence. But Albert, does that mean springtime Eze is fully here? The last 2 seasons, last 10 games of the season, he's been on absolute fire in those last 10 games of both seasons.
Well, yeah, and hopefully it's springtime Eze and springtime Palace, really, isn't it? Because again, this time last year we were sweeping everyone aside. So, Eze hitting a all but albeit late purple patch for us and for England, it's the perfect time to do it. Let's see how high we can get in the league. And let's see if we can win the FA Cup.
Well, listen, if we repeat what we did in our last 10 games in the last 2 seasons, we're going to Europe regardless of whether we win the FA Cup.
Jesus Christ.
Well, but we are. If we win 8 of our last 10 games, I think, did we win 7 last year in the last 10 and 8 in the last 10 the year before? If we do that, if we replicate that form.
Sure, fine. All right, that's true.
Europe. It's just factually accurate.
just fucking go in Europe, mate.
Yeah, and if Chelsea keep fucking up, it might be Champions League. Fulham have lost tonight, spoiler alert, to Arsenal. So we now got 2 games in hand over them, and we'd go above them on goal difference should we win those 2 games.
This makes me feel sick.
Well, good news is the second half didn't make you feel sick because not much happened. We just saw it out quite comfortably, really. I mean, Henderson saved some Willian when it was going wide, probably. Mm-hmm. And then you have that slight goalmouth scramble from a corner. But we defend it well. And, yeah, it was comfortable, Albert, wasn't it? Just easy, just enjoying a beer on the sofa. Sun was shining. Easy.
Yeah, even the sight of Adama Traore being
greased up and thrown on
didn't make me feel apprehensive at all. Yeah, it was so, and listen, Fulham made plenty of changes. They brought on Traore and Smith Rowe and all the other big guns, and they were going for it, and we, there was definitely a sort of, certainly nothing akin to the first 20, 25 minutes in the first half, but I think we were quite happy to. I think it was almost like a choice to let them try and turn the gas up on us a little bit for the second half because we had a 2-goal cushion, and we make changes of our own. And we're just lethal. We're lethal on the break. When you got Eze and obviously at this point Nketiah is on the pitch, who very much likes to try and find a bit of space off the last man. We're well equipped just to sit and absorb that, and then see what gaps open up and where we can try and hit them on the counter. And I thought we did it perfectly. I thought everybody played their part so well.
Yeah, and even it's the changes that come on for us that get the third goal. Brilliant play between Daichi Kamada and Nketiah to get him through. Could you tell in the ground, Hesketh, that he was onside? Because on the TV, it looked like he was an absolute mile off because Bassi was so far out of position playing him onside.
Fucking Shirley Bassey.
Yeah, I mean, my instinct was he's definitely off. I thought it was a great pass from Kamada, actually, and it turned out to be a great run. But obviously the first thing I did when it went in was like swing my head to the left to look at the linesman, who seemed absolutely not even in any doubt. He was already going back a bit. Yeah, I mean, I thought he was offside. Unsurprising, like you said, it's Bassi that's playing him on.
I'm like you, T. I didn't even make a noise. I didn't get off the sofa. I was like, this ain't happening. That's getting chalked off. And it's like 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and then did a very, very delayed leap off the. Well, I say a leap. My knee is hurting. Hobble up off the sofa. Yeah, I was so happy for Nketiah. So happy for him because that run that he makes to get that ball, and then and he's still got a lot to do there, and he I don't know who it's. I mean, he absolutely sells the goalkeeper with the eyes. There's one particular shot which I think Palace put on the Instagram today. It's almost like it's a camera from behind the goal on the far post from where the ball goes in, and you just see Nketiah look across as if he's going to square it, and then just a little jink and puts it through Leno's legs. It's a fantastic finish. That kind of run that he makes to pick up that ball, he made so many of those runs. The last game I physically attended was Millwall. He made so many of those runs, and no one was playing the pass. So to see it come off, and a beautiful finish as well. Really, really happy for him.
His first touch when he gets the ball from when he collects the pass is really good too. When he sort of puts it back into the area, but without really checking his stride. And it was, like you said, it's sort of an instinctive finish. He knew exactly what he was doing. I thought he was really good when he came on as well. He got a lot of Eddie chance. I mean, it's not the most original, but it's good considering how down a lot of people have been on him so far, vocally at the games as well at home. It's good to see that people, I think the majority of people just want to see him do well, forget the price tag, all that. He occupied their defence a lot when he came on. And I think because JP's obviously still a bit rusty, didn't really contest any headers, whether he's conscious or subconsciously because of his ear and his head, it's understandable. So it was good that when Nketiah had to come on, like he did against Millwall, we had to come on and make a difference, and he did. And, less is said about Kamada because he didn't score, but again, picked the ball up in stride outside of the boot. It was a lovely weighted pass. Hopefully that sort of thing will give them both confidence, and that's only going to make us better if the squad is going to be used a bit more in the run-in with the sort of fixture congestion. Then it's only positives from here.
Are you feeling all right, mate?
I know I've just muted because I've had to have a sit down.
I think that's the most positive I've ever heard you in 8 years of podding together.
I'm a bit lightheaded. I don't know what came over me, sorry.
What have you been drinking? The old fuzzy water.
I thought it was normal water, but I might have to check when I go downstairs.
Did Billiam give it to you?
Oh my God, yeah. So he called it a normal.
It's a pint of normal. And it's anything but.
Oh yeah, so I didn't do it. There was no beer check for me. I'm drinking Marks and Spencer decaf tea. Splodge of honey.
Oh.
Well, trying to infuse it with something, But what were the scenes like at full time? It was. There's been some lovely clips online. You've got the now familiar, because we basically win every game. Is that 10 wins in 12 now? Maxence Lacroix doing his punch in the air. Dean Henderson getting involved as well. Looked like it was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was brilliant. I think everyone, like you say, it's happened quite a lot now. Everyone's waiting for Lacroix to come up and do the punch in the air thing. Henderson does the same. But what also was really nice was we were singing the On the Way to Wembley song and Que Sera Sera and all that afterwards. And all the players were just stood in front of us, like taking it in. They weren't going over the top. They weren't like, it wasn't like we'd won the cup already. But they were all taking it in, and you could see that they were enjoying it. And I feel like the togetherness, we've talked about this fairly recently as well. The togetherness is definitely there within the squad. You talked about how happy everyone was when Nketiah scored against Villa. But I think that the connection with the fans and the management, everything seems to be in sync at the moment. And it was really apparent after the game on Saturday. You know, all of the players were really happy. França was getting songs before he came on, and he was like grinning at the end, and Glasner was sort of nodding along. And then when all the players went off, Henderson just sort of stood there for another sort of 20, 30 seconds and really like just took it in. And obviously sort of streaming out of the ground after that was fucking great. Like everyone was pumped. You know, early kickoff means you've got the whole day to go drinking. I lasted 2 pints and then had to go home. But yeah, it was great. It was great. It was, you know, even for a pessimist like me, it's so much fun to be involved in that sort of atmosphere and watch us play that kind of football. And 20 minutes aside at the beginning, comfortably beat a team that's been getting a lot of plaudits this season. So yeah, it was a really fun day out. Only bettered if you two and Vanessa had been there, obviously. I had to make do without all three of you.
Well us saved. Two and Vanessa.
Yeah, well, if I didn't say Vanessa, she's going to listen back to this and clip me around the ear.
No, it's just, you know, just interesting that it was us two and Vanessa, not Vanessa. Oh, and you two as well.
I'm looking at you two. Stop sowing seeds, Albert.
Just
concentrate on your knee. Leave me alone.
Just an observation.
Man of the match. What were your thoughts for that question? I've got a strong favourite for myself.
No, it wasn't you.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming Ebbs got it. I mean, he was good. I thought Lerma was really good during the game. I thought Richards was good again during the game.
Yeah, Chris Richards for me, between Richards and Lerma. I mean, Ebbs obviously had the moments, but across the 90, in terms of putting in a proper shift, Lerma and Richards were both brilliant. And I thought Richards just shake, because there was this period of about 15 minutes where Richards just won everything. The commentators were even laughing about it on the TV. It was being like, I don't need to tell you who's cleared it. Because it was Chris Richards always. So yeah,
which segues very nicely into team news for Southampton.
Yes, that he is out of Southampton, but should be back for Brighton. So, you know, just give him a little bit of a rest. I mean, he took a bit of a knock playing for USA as well, didn't he? So
yeah, and I think Glasner said that he had like a 14-hour flight, which obviously can't help if you're not feeling 100%.
Yeah, but it went really well for USA in the international break. They lost both games. I think the second game they played in front of barely anybody against Canada. Pochettino is going to probably get sacked before the World Cup even starts.
Great.
Yeah, not going so well for them, sadly. But before we move on, so we are now with that 3-0 win, which ruined the successions of 2-0s. We've become the first team in English top flight history to win 6 away games on the bounce in all competitions without conceding a goal. Nobody's ever done that in the history of English football in the top flight.
It's pretty good.
And
they have now.
And yeah. And tomorrow night or tonight, as you're listening to this, if you're listening to it on release day, we've got Southampton. Who can't hit a fucking barn door?
Okay, you know what's going to happen. We're going to last about 2 minutes.
I mean, they did manage to score against us at Selhurst, so
I was going to say, yeah. They hit the barn door that day.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much gifted it to them. But yeah, you got to be fancying we're going to look to extend that record, though, Albert. Like, with all our jokes aside about what it's like to be Palace, and for many years I would have said that we'll lose, this is the one we'll lose 1-0, but
yeah, let's not keep don't keep saying it. I mean, yeah, it's weird how I don't want to go and lose to Southampton tomorrow. I want to, as we said, we want to go on as best as run as possible and finish as high as we can in the league and maybe sneak into Europe with or without a cup final or a cup victory. So, again, they can't hit a barn door. They're in the league position because of the fact that they are shit. So, we need to go there and let's give them a good seeing too as well. Let's do them 3-0 in their turf. But then there's always the potential of, should we call it the old Palace turning up and writing a prescription for Southampton and just letting them have a little morale boost. But no, listen, we should be going there and winning comfortably. There, I've said it.
Come on, Hesketh. You can't be going there and expecting anything other than a Palace with victory.
I'll take a draw. Oh, okay. We should be beating them. We definitely should be beating them. Even with Hughes out and Richards out, whatever team we put out should be strong enough to beat them. What I'd really like is for us to get an early goal or two, really sort of take the game by the scruff of their necks, so that we're able to make some subs, bring on the likes of França and Nketiah, assuming Mateta starts, and maybe Esse, Chilwell, whoever is on the bench. We've got a lot of games coming up, obviously the big one on Saturday as well, so not looking ahead of Southampton, but I would like us to really try and just get the win as quickly and as easily as possible so we can rest a few players. Do I think we're going to win? I don't want to answer that.
Would you start Nketiah or Mateta?
That's a good question.
I'll still go with Mateta, I think.
I think I would still go with Mateta. I mean, to be fair, Nketiah has been good coming off the bench of late. So I think if it's 2-0, say, with half an hour to go, then you can easily just bring on Nketiah then.
But at least now with him, he's got to go off the bench, right? Yeah. So, you can play Mateta, and if he looks a bit like he did against Fulham, where he's still a little bit out of sorts, you can give him an hour, and then you can bring Nketiah on, and he's good for a goal.
Yeah.
It's positive.
Sounds great.
Who would you guys start in place of Richards? Would you just go Klein because he was used to it last year? Lerner, I think, would be a bit difficult because Hughes is out, right? So I don't think you want to weaken him.
They did it in training, right? So they've tried Mitchell there and Chilwell there in a training match. So you could see him wanting to crowbar Chilwell into the team somehow, but I think I'd probably just go with Klein.
Yeah. I think my only issue with putting like Chilwell in, say, or putting Ty at centre half is you'd then be moving Gay over, I'd imagine. I just think you want to try and minimise dicking about with it as much. And, if it's only for a game, I think Klein's probably the easiest bet, isn't he? Yeah,
just stick him on the right side of it. Knows what he's doing there. Yeah. No dicking about. So I think I reckon that's what it will be. And Klein, a bit of sentimental value as well. Klein against a former club.
Oh, yeah.
Stick him in there. Or just bring Wardy in because he's good for a goal against Southampton. So, yeah, I just think we've got to be going there, and they haven't beaten us for a while in the league. I think we're five games unbeaten against them in the league. 4 of those are wins. I think the last 4 are wins. So, yeah, brush them aside, start to look at those little dangling carrots above us as we start to pick off the teams. But I mean, it comes down to then we've got 3 very difficult games in the league, which will define where we finish in the season, I think. If we find the way to continue to form against Brighton, Newcastle, then Manchester City, or Manchester City, then Newcastle, if we say pick up 7 points from those games, then we're really laughing. But it could also very easily be 0 points because they are 3 very good teams. So,
I'll ask this to Albert, for the Brighton game, would you bring Hughes straight back in? Because I think he's suspended for tomorrow, so he's fit.
So he's fit, but it's his suspension. Of course, suspensions don't apply to Premier League games, as we've discussed.
So the cup games.
Previously.
Cup games.
Yeah, sorry, for cup games, yes, that's what I meant. No, I wouldn't actually. I guess I would be asking. I'd want to answer that question this time tomorrow night. But that's not what we're doing. So my answer is no. Right now, I wouldn't. I'd keep him on the bench. I don't know what Wharton's. Wharton doesn't seem to be suffering in terms of, any knock-on effects from his injury. He seems to be sharp, seems to be fit, loves kicking out at someone. Let's have more. Let's have more of that on Saturday, preferably without getting sent off like it was on last Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. I for the record, I think I'd probably bring Hughes straight back in against Brighton on Saturday. Bit of battle in the middle of the park. You want to manage Lerma a bit as well. Like, he's getting older. He's been to Colombia, played twice out in South America in a short space of time, had a lot of flights and stuff like that. So you don't want him to break down, which he has been, he's tended to do a bit with his time at Palace. So yeah, you probably want to manage him a bit. But yeah, Hughes has been great, isn't he? Like, he feels harsh to say because you've been out for a couple of games, we're going to take your place away from you. So, but yeah,
I just think his time. Not trying to sound pessimistic. His time will come probably sooner than we would ideally hope, purely because it will be because of an injury, as you've alluded to. Like, he's not going to be frozen out. He's not going to be frozen out of the team for too long. I think it's just a case of picking the opportune moment.
Yes, and he needs to stay in contention for Player of the Season as well. He's still up there in that reckoning. I've got a feeling Munoz is creeping away with it. I think it's going to be him.
It depends how many goals JP scores for the end of the season. But my Player of the Year so far is Hughes still.
Fair. Okay. Good to be back. Lovely to see your face, Albert, briefly before you piss off for 2 more weeks.
See you in another month.
Leave him wanting more.
Indeed. Well, good luck with working abroad.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, boys. Nice
Try
to come.
Try not to get into road traffic accidents in Morocco this time.
Forgot about that. It's nice to come on and see your face and all bask in the glory of a wonderful quarter-final FA Cup win. I'm hugely excited by the whole prospect. Another trip to Wembley.
All to yours before the game against Aston Villa then.
5 o'clock, innit? Do we think?
Exactly. Yeah.
We can
come to yours for lunch first.
Yeah, why not?
Well, let's figure that out close to the time. But no, brilliant. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week where we'll talk about Southampton, we'll talk about Brighton, and we'll look ahead to Manchester City. Brilliant.
9 points.
9 points. Thanks for listening, and until next time, up the Palace.